ahead and sign the book now, dear.
Look here. This last entry is over 2 years old.
It is.
Yes, indeed. And Christopher Mulholland's is over a year before that. More than 3 years ago.
Oh, dear me, I never would have thought it. How time does fly away from us all. Doesn't it, Mr. Wilkins?
It's Weaver. W-E-A-V-E-R.
Oh, dear, yes, of course it is. How silly of me. I do apologize. In one ear and out the other. That's me, Mr. Weaver.
You know something? Something really quite extraordinary about all this.
No, dear, I don't.
Well, you see, both of these names, Mulholland and Temple, I not only seem to remember each one of them separately, so to speak, but somehow or other, in some peculiar way, they both appear to be sort of connected together as well. As though they were both famous for the same sort of thing, if you see what I mean. Like Dempsey and Turney, for example. Or Churchill and Roosevelt.
Oh, how amusing. But come over here now and sit down beside me on the sofa, and I'll give you a nice cup of tea and a ginger biscuit before you go to bed.
You really shouldn't bother. I didn't mean you to do anything like that. I am almost positive it was in the newspaper I saw them. I'll think of it in a second, I'm sure I will. No, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Mulholland. Christopher Mulholland. Wasn't that the name of the Eton schoolboy who was on a walking tour through the West Country, and then, all of a sudden...
Milk and sugar?
Yes, please. And then, all of a sudden...
Eton schoolboy? Oh no, that can't possibly be right, because my Mr. Mulholland was certainly not an Eton schoolboy when he came to me. He was a Cambridge undergraduate. But come over here now, dear, and sit down beside me and warm yourself in front of this lovely fire. Oh, come on. Your tea's all ready for you. There we are. Mr. Mulholland was a great one for his tea. Never in my life did I ever see anyone drink as much tea as dear, sweet Mr. Mulholland.
I suppose he left fairly recently?
Left? Oh, my dear boy, no. He's still here. And Mr. Temple is here also. They're on the 3rd floor. Both of them together. How old are you, my dear?
17.
Oh, 17. It's the most perfect age. Mr. Mulholland was 17. Although I think he was a trifle shorter than you are. In fact, I'm sure he was. And his teeth weren't quite so white. You have the most beautiful teeth, Mr. Weaver. Has anyone ever told you that?
They're not as good as they look. They've got simply masses of fillings in them at the back.
Oh, Mr. Temple, of course, was a little older. He was actually 28. And yet I never would have guessed it if he hadn't told me. Never in my whole life. There wasn't a blemish on his body.
A what?
His skin was just like a baby's.
That parrot. You know something? It had me completely fooled when I first saw it through the window from the street. I could have sworn he was alive.
Alas, no longer.
It's most terribly clever the way it's been done. It doesn't look in the least bit dead. Who did it?
I did.
You did?
Yes, of course. And you have met my little Basil as well.
Good gracious me. How absolutely fascinating. It must be most awfully difficult to do a thing like that.
Oh, not at all. I stuff all my little pets after they pass away. More tea?
No, thank you.
You did remember to sign the book, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's good, because later on, if I should happen to forget what you're called, I can always come down here and look it up in the book. I still do that almost every day with Mr. Mulholland and Mr.
Temple. Gregory Temple. Excuse my asking, but haven't there been any other guests here except them in the last 2 or 3 years?
Oh, no, my dear. Only you.